I pledge to stay drug-free.
I plan to stay drug-free.
I pledge to stay drug-free.
I pledge to be drug-free.
I pledge to stay drug-free.
And good afternoon, and welcome to Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and you will be enlightened by a good half an hour of good information with real people and real information that will definitely go and transcend, hopefully, this new year. This has been a real interesting year with the pandemic, with a lot of things that have gone on. So, as we wind down this year, we definitely want to let everybody know that we hope that you will have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully you will bring in a more joyous new year than we had for this past year. Our show is live and is sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. And if you'd like to get a copy of the Detroit Native Sun News, you can contact Ms. Valerie Lockhart at area code 313-457-5944. And you can pick up a copy at the local Kroger supermarkets. And if you also would like to call in to the show is live, and you can call in at area code 313-365-7327 or 313-365-7379. And we are live in the awesome city of Highland Park, Michigan, under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Hubert Yap, as well as in Detroit under the auspices of the Honorable Mayor Mike Duggan. But just before we get started with my special guest today, I just want to say, there's been a lot of people that we've lost during this year, but this has been a real test of time, and it's really been a test to a lot of the individuals that have lost, people. And we just recently lost Benny Napoleon, the sheriff of Wayne County. And for those of you that may not know, he had passed away during his battle with the COVID-19 virus. And for some of you that may not know, too, they're going to have a couple of viewings for him. And the viewings are going to be this coming next Monday and next Tuesday. And you can get more information about the times, but the locations will be on Monday. It's going to be over at the Swanson Funeral Home on East Grand Boulevard and Mac. And I'm not sure about the time, but I think it's about a 5-hour block, of time. So you'll have plenty of time to go and, pay your respects. And then also over on Tuesday, next Tuesday, it's going to be over at Greater Grace, up there near Telegraph and West 7 Mile Roads. So, and the homegoing services are going to be private, and they will be streamed live, so you can get a chance to go and view the homegoing services for the Honorable Benny Napoleon. And just also to let everyone know, they just had the homegoing services last week for the Honorable Commissioner Youre. So again, our hearts, our condolences, and our prayers are extended to the Ware family as well too. But today we have a couple of special guests. We're going to talk about narcissism, and I've got a couple of special guests. One of my guests, she's not a stranger to Expose Under the Sun, and her name is Dr. Nepanji Thomas. Dr. Thomas, thank you for coming on the show today.
Well, thank you for having Me.
And one of her co-authors for the book, young man, his name is Nigel Jennings. Mr. Jennings, thank you for coming on the show today with us as well, too.
Thank you as well. Thanks.
But let's get started. Dr. Thomas,
Yes.
the name of your book is called Don't Believe Your Lying Eyes, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Talk about the book. Give a brief little description about what the book entails.
Well, the book really discusses 3 friends' trials and tribulations with being in a relationship with someone that is a narcissist or that has narcissistic traits. So we talk about some of the experiences that we had, maybe it be gaslighting or hoovering tactics. And then we also talk about how we recovered and healed from this type of an abusive relationship.
Okay, well, for the few people that might not know, when you mention the term gaslighting, what do you mean when you say gaslighting? Okay. I'm seeing. Oh, we also have Miss Vicki Dobbins, as everybody know. River Rouge extraordinaire. Everybody knows Vicki in River Rouge, school board member. You name it, Vicki's probably got that hat that she wears in River Rouge. But I'm seeing Vicki writing down notes, in the sidelines. So. Gaslighting, Dr. Thomas, what is gaslighting?
Okay, well, some people connect gaslighting with this movie that was put out a while ago called Gaslighting. And what it is when someone deliberately and intentionally tries to make you mistrust your own thoughts, your own views, your own beliefs. They will tell you what you saw didn't happen. So that's what gaslighting is. It's really a tactic to make you feel like you're mentally unstable.
So you pretty much like what a narcissist is, that you will go and put the fault on the other person.
Exactly. Narcissists never take the blame for anything that they do. Okay.
So I guess that leads to my next question then. What is narcissism?
Well, narcissism is a personality disorder that's clinically diagnosed through the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, and it's 9 characteristics that someone poses to be narcissist. So there's grandiosity, there is a preoccupation with success or an ideal type of love. They believe that they are special and unique, that nobody else can understand them but somebody else that is special. They need to have all the attention and admiration. They lack empathy. That's one of the main traits, the lacking of empathy. They may be envious and jealous of others or feel that others are envious and jealous of them. And there's a sense of entitlement, and then there's always this sense of superiority or arrogance about them.
Okay. Now, what is narcissistic abuse?
So, well, can we let Nigel answer that question?
Sure.
So, Nigel, can you tell our audience what narcissistic abuse is?
Yeah, it's no problem. So narcissistic abuse is when a person uses different narcissistic tactics to abuse you mentally, emotionally, physically, or financially. And that could be one of the terms that Dr. Thomas used was gaslighting is one of the main ones that they use, as well as various other tactics like love bombing and
hoovering, projecting.
Yes.
But the thing with the thing that's different between narcissistic abuse and traditional or other forms of abuse is that narcissistic abuse is intentional. This person has deliberately planned to lower your self-esteem or to rob you of something in some type of way.
So what do we say about the person that may be the receiving the narcissistic abuse?
So the victim?
Correct.
So what do you mean? What do you mean? What?
In terms of saying, like, is that person, does their self-esteem, is they have a low level of self-esteem, or kind of give a little profile about that individual?
Well, usually the person that they pick out doesn't have low self-esteem. They look for people who are seen as something special. So they may date a CEO of a company. They may date a model, but it's not going to be somewhere that they perceive as having less than or not as successful as them. So they're not going to choose someone that has low self-esteem, but they will choose someone who may has codependency type of behaviors where they do gloat over their mate, and they will seek somebody who is going to give them all of the attention that they think that they should have.
Okay, now, Nigel, you mentioned something about financial narcissism.
Yes.
Explain that.
Well, unlike most abuse, which is, mental, physical, or whatnot, financial abuse is a little bit nuanced. It's not letting someone in particular, just kind of controlling their finances in a way. More so, say you buy something for someone, right? As a gift. You think that it's okay. What they would do is they would take it back, or say, oh, it's not the right size, or it's not what I wanted, or whatever. And you could never do that. So what you end up doing is not doing anything, like not buying gifts or not spending any money. And then they tend to take over and spend all the money and then say, you never do anything for me. So that's a good example of it.
Yeah, so that's one form. And then the other form of financial abuse could be them controlling all of the money. So that you don't have any means to, take care of yourself.
Okay. Now, how does the narcissistic abuse differ from any other forms of abuse?
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier. This type of abuse is different because with narcissistic abuse is intentional. This person is coming into your life to take something from you, to be their supply of love, of admiration. So that's the difference, that this person has literally set and planned what they're going to do. They will learn you and all of your behaviors and use your weaknesses against you to gain control over you, because it's all about control.
So, Nigel, Dr. Thomas, is there anything that you see, like, are there any red flags that you should look for in a person that could be a narcissist?
Yes. So the first thing I'm going to say is the person's going to be very charming. They're going to be very likable. Then you may, when you are in the relationship, you will start to notice that things subtly change, because in this relationship, things are so subtle that you don't even recognize that it's happening. So it may be something simple as them calling you a name, or you do something and say, oh, you're stupid. How can you do something, that's stupid? Nigel, you want to give another example?
Yeah, sure. Another one is that they tend to enlist your friends or family as their cosigners for different things. So they'll if you have an issue with them, for example, they'll tend to call up one of your friends, or have one of them involved, and you'll see that they're, oh no, she's right or he's right, you should listen to them, that's such a good person, based on examples of things that they've seen in a relationship.
Yeah, and even if you try to tell them that they're wrong, they will get upset, they will explode. Not like say you and I, we have a disagreement and we can sit and we can talk about it. With the narcissist, there's no talking, there's going to be, they're from 0 to 100 in 1 second. And you can't get any word in edgewise that will halt the conversation. You will notice another red flag is that they lack a lot of close friendships. They won't have a lot of friends because when they do, their character comes out and they like to be seen as perfect. So they don't have too many close friends because then people get to know them and know that they're not perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nigel, so this could be both males and females, correct?
Yes.
Now, is there any age groups in terms of like, it start as early as what age and go as, let's say, as old as how age? At what age?
Well, I would say that it's harder to diagnose or to recognize in children just because they're still developing. And a lot of their traits that you would consider to be narcissistic in adults don't really translate that well in children because kids are all about themselves, right? So it's kind of difficult in that regard. But as far as adults go, I would say anywhere in like the early 20s, I would say, is a good time to start, trying to identify it.
Clinically, we say 18 is when we start to diagnose someone with a personality disorder. Just like Nigel said, children are still growing and developing, but you can still see some of these traits in children, but we don't give a clinical diagnosis until they're 18.
Okay. And how did you come up with the premise for the book?
So
should I be asking Nigel that question first or asking you that question first?
Well, it doesn't really matter. The premise came up because I had experienced some strange things happening in my relationship, and I had been talking to both Galen and Nigel separately. And I was on the phone with Galen one day, and I was like, we need to write a book. And I was like, I need to introduce you to Nigel because he's going through some of the same stuff, and I can't believe it's like we're dating the same person. So that's how the premise came up, just with me saying we need to write a book, and here we are a few months later.
Okay, Nigel, let me get your take on that.
Well, yeah, basically the same thing. We have been having conversations, and through those conversations, we came to realize that there was a lot of similarities in people we had dated. Typically, as a guy, you tend to just write it off as like, just women being crazy or whatever. A lot of my friends had similar situations, but the more talking I did with Panji and Galen, the more I started to realize, no, this is something that is specific. This is something that is not just common. It's common, but it's not known. So we started talking more, did some more research, got some more answers to the questions that we had, and it was just, no, we have to make people aware of this. We have to tell them that, hey, you're not crazy. What you're going through is something that a lot of people go through.
It's real.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned there's another author. Mention something about her.
Well, Galen is an educator. She actually lives in Maryland. She's originally from Detroit. So with her aspect from the book, we were actually, all of us were in different states when we wrote the book. So getting together every night over the phone, we would talk. But Galen, like I said, is originally from Detroit. She graduated from Mumford, and she's a special education teacher out in Maryland.
Okay. Now, just looking at the cover of the book, who came up with the cover design for the book?
Well, I came up with the cover for the book.
And describe it.
So the cover, it shows a female's face and her eye is closed and there's some teardrops here. So this is kind of like, you can't believe what your eyes are telling you. And even within the picture of the graphics, there's different eyes throughout the book, and she's like underwater drowning. So.
Oh, okay. So how long did it take you to really co-author or co-write the book?
Oh, wow, Nigel, we started writing this book, in February of this year?
Yes.
Yeah, so we started in February of this year, and it took us about 6 weeks to actually write the book, and then it took us a few more months to do some editing, and we wanted to make sure that we had some peer reviews before we actually published it, and so we did some additional work after we wrote the book. So what's from February to November?
Yeah.
It was start to finish.
Okay, Nigel, how did you feel when the book was completed?
Oh, wow. It was a cathartic moment for me. Honestly, the weight of it didn't hit me until afterwards. But I was really excited to get the material out so that people could read it and pick some tips up and learn from it. So it was a combination of being at peace and also anxious. So, yeah.
How do your friends react to you now that you're an author?
Some of them have been very receptive of the information and even picked up a couple of copies. Others are kind of still kind of skeptical, like, are you really though? So,
And were there people that were kind of like saying they never would have thought that you would have been an author, or might have thought that you would have did something else in life?
no, well, yeah. But for the most part, people thought, no, this is pretty much the path you should be going down.
Okay.
It's just they didn't know that it would come so soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nigel was very secretive. He didn't tell a lot of people what he was doing.
Yeah.
So now the cat is let out the bag. Now you got your relatives, friends, people you went to school with, and everybody else that's kind of looking at both of you, really, and saying, congratulations then. Okay. Now, if somebody wants to get a copy of the book, how can they go about getting a copy of the book?
Oh, that's me again. So we have a website. It's called tcreaderslounge.net, and that's where we're selling the majority of the copies of the book. It's through PayPal. You can make a purchase, or via Cash App too.
How much is the book?
It's $16.99 plus shipping and handling and tax, of course.
So people can, if they want to order it before Christmas to give it as a Christmas gift, do they have time?
You know what? If they live locally, they have time. With Christmas being only a few days away, the shipping process through, because we use the regular U.S. mail, it takes about a week, maybe 2 weeks before it gets shipped out to you.
Okay, I know you recently had a book signing.
Yes.
Okay, are you got any other book signings coming up anytime soon?
Well, due to COVID, we're kind of putting that on the shelf. We are working with putting together a book tour with another author out of Wisconsin. So we will be doing some things next year.
Okay, okay. So what are some projects that you've got coming up in the future?
Well, I am working on, I do content work, writing for Choosing Therapy. I have a series of articles that'll be coming out on narcissism. And then we are going to be working on another book. Yeah, so there'll be a sequel to this book.
So primarily, are you going to kind of let the cat out the bag and say what the name of the next book is going to be? I mean, what would it be? Don't Believe Your Lying Eyes 2, or no. What do you think it may be called?
Nigel, what's the name of the new book? Because Nigel came up with this name. Was it you? Yeah, Nigel came up with the name for this book.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing a reveal.
Yeah,
okay.
so go ahead.
The sequel title, it will be You're Too Pretty to Get Cut.
You're Too Pretty to Get Cut. Explain that title.
It actually came from a conversation we were having, and with the other author, Galen Laird, wherein we were going over a relationship situation, and it was just a matter of dealing with narcissistic abuse. You don't have to put up with the kind of abuse that you're going through. So essentially, you're too pretty to get cut.
Okay. Now,
and actually, Galen was having a conversation, and Nigel stated, "You're too pretty to get cut," and I was like, that's the name of the next book.
You're Too Pretty to Get Cut.
Yeah.
So we got the scoop. That's the name of the new book then, right? Okay. Now, is there a number, if somebody wanted to get a copy of the book, is there a number that they can call to where they could get a copy of the book like ASAP?
Yeah, we do have a phone number. It's 734-404-8779.
Say it again.
734-404-8779.
Okay, and give the website too, if somebody wanted to get more information about the book.
The website is tcreaderslounge.net. That's where all the information is for the book and the authors on the book, and also the Cash App is $ Readers Lounge with a capital R and a capital L.
Okay. Nepanji, I'll give you the last word. Nigel, just tell what advice would you give to somebody if they were concerned about somebody that may be exhibiting some narcissistic traits?
I would say that if you are in a relationship where you believe that the person that you're dating is narcissistic, don't be afraid to reach out and talk to people. A strong support system is key to getting through that. So make sure you have strong friends who love you and care about you and want to see you get through this in a healthy way.
Okay, Dr. Thomas?
Okay, so I would say that if you are recovering from this type of toxic relationship, receiving professional help is going to be very helpful, because the road to recovery can be very long after, being your self-esteem has been diminished for so long. So you're going to need some professional help to get back to where you once were.
Now, when you say professional help, like to seek a counselor?
Seek a counselor, a mental health professional, a counselor, a therapist, a clinical social worker. So someone that is trained to actually deal with narcissistic abuse, because everyone is not trained to actually handle this type of abuse. So you want to make sure that the clinician can provide you the appropriate service. Someone who may be trained with complex trauma will also be good.
You say complex trauma.
Yes.
Explain that.
Complex trauma means that you've had more than one traumatic event in your life. So a series of traumatic events. And if you are in a narcissistic relationship and you've been in it for at least 2 to 3 months, then yeah, you're definitely going to need some help with that. And we didn't even talk about being raised by a narcissistic parent. Then you definitely will want to seek some professional help.
So parents can also be narcissistic towards their children?
Well, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Usually with narcissism, it is due to one's upbringing.
Okay.
So, yes.
Okay. Nigel, you want to comment on that?
Yes, actually. Narcissistic parents are very prominent, and the abuse is different than it is with in the dating world. Mm-hmm. And it's harder to recognize, because if you're a child that has been raised under a narcissistic parent, you don't know any better. You don't have any point of reference. Your parent is your point of reference, so it's very difficult. So it's harder to recognize the signs, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you, Nigel, for being on the show. Dr. Thomas, thank you for being on the show. And also thank Galen Laird, correct?
Yes.
Okay, for co-writing the book with the three of you. And I definitely hope that you all will have, tell that title again for the next book.
You're Too Pretty to Get Cut.
You're Too Pretty to Get Cut. Okay, that's going to probably be something that's going to, a lot of people going to be going to sleep today saying, you're too pretty to get cut. I thank you both for being on the show today, and you've been watching Expose Under the Sun, sponsored by the Detroit Native Sun newspaper. And again, I just want to mention, too, want to thank R.J. Watkins and Henry Tyler for allowing us this half an hour to spend with you. And just want to also, to keep some people in our prayers, but at the same time, to have a great holiday. And to Ms. Dumas, who also does the show with me on occasions, I just want to express my prayers for the loss of your animal, Mati. So again, prayers go out to you as well. Everyone have a safe and Merry Christmas and enjoy the new year. Peace.